I'm heading out to an iconic location in Hyderabad to test out the Tamron 17-28 2.8 lens. This is one of the 3 locations where I have been able to try out this lens in the field. Kudos to you if you guessed that. Yes, this is the beautiful Charminar in Hyderabad. Even though it's crowded and chaotic, I wanted to push myself to create some frames here that I would be happy with. Anyway, moving on with the review. Hi everyone, this is 2K from 2kphotography.com and today I'm doing a review of the Tamron 17-28 2.8 Di3 RXD lens for the Sony E-mount. A huge shout out to Tamron for sending out this lens to me for review. This is in continuation to my previous review of the Tamron 28-75 2.8 lens and hopefully you'll find this review useful. I'm primarily going to share my thoughts about the build quality, image quality, focusing, and some additional useful information for you pertaining to this lens. Ultra-wide focal length ranges are useful for a variety of applications. If you're shooting real estate video, or if you're shooting architecture, you are doing touristy work, travel work, you're trying to shoot landscapes. It could be used to make small spaces appear bigger. Say for example, you are shooting a hotel and you want the rooms to appear quite large. An ultra-wide angle lens can find a variety of applications in all of these settings, and perhaps there could be more that I have missed. Do you remember the first time you used an ultra-wide angle lens? The first time that I used an ultra-wide lens, I was quite amazed at the field of view that it gives. I mean, I was just being like a kid and I put the camera viewfinder to my eye and just looking all around, and I was just amazed at how much more I could see, say in comparison to a normal wide like the 24mm focal length. This is a constant 2.8 aperture lens, which means that if you wish to shoot the entire focal length range with the 2.8 aperture, you can do so, and that makes it a really good low light lens. This lens only weighs 420 grams, which makes it one of the lightest and smallest ultra-wide angle lenses in its category. This means you can easily take it on hikes without the burden of lugging around your gear. Not just that, you can also easily shoot with this lens on a gimbal all day without problems. The focal length range from 17 to 28 mm also means that its field of view is very versatile. Let's look at a small teaser I shot in Mangalore. The construction of the lens is moisture resistant and it even has a fluorine coating on the front element to resist fingerprints and dirt. The moisture-resistant construction really comes in handy when you're shooting in tricky scenarios such as near a beach, where the elements are all around you. Coming to the image quality, this lens has BBAR coating on its elements, which reduces ghosting and flares, especially when shooting directly into the sun. When shooting landscapes, you might encounter this phenomenon quite a lot. and in those cases this coating would really be of good use. There are also various low dispersion and extra low dispersion elements. These work to further reduce chromatic aberration while ensuring consistent sharpness across the frame, as you can see in these shots. And the interesting thing is all of the native features such as the IAF, the direct MF, and all of the things built into the Sony bodies, all of them are compatible with this lens. So you wouldn't really feel that you're using a non-native lens on a Sony camera. In fact, all of the in-camera corrections can be applied as well. Now taking a look at the focusing of this lens, I've had really good experience both in video as well as photography. When you're taking photographs, most of the lenses on Sony bodies perform really well. But when it comes to video, most of the lenses I've seen are struggling, especially when you're talking about non-native lenses. But Tamron's E-mount lineup is an exception to that. This lens is equipped with an RXD drive, which means it's a high precision, high speed focus system that also is noiseless. So when you're shooting videos, that this noise you don't need to be very about. You can expect smooth focus tracks from one point to another, as well as when you are tracking subjects, you can constantly expect the subject to be in focus. And since I mentioned it's an internal zoom lens, you can switch from the 17 to 28 focal length range while on a gimbal without having to rebalance it again and again. Minimum focusing distance is also a mere 7.5 inches. Now there are also some additional aspects that would be good to keep in mind before making the purchase. The first and foremost is that the focus and the zoom rings are swapped. So if you are used to working with different kind of lenses, you will easily get used to it. But some people who are only used to working with, say for example, a forward focus ring and a back zoom ring, they will find they need some time getting used to this. In addition to that, there is no AF/MF toggle on the lens itself. What you can do though is to map the AF on button for the AF/MF toggle. That's what I've done on my Sony camera, and that's how I use that button on the back of the camera as the AF/MF toggle switch. And I've personally found myself not being restricted too much by it. The trinity of Tamron lenses, the 28-75, the 17-28 and the 70-180, these lenses give you a wide range of focal lengths which you can use to shoot anything and everything. On top of that, they use the same filter thread, which is 67 mm. So you can use the same variable ND filters or polarizers across all of these lenses. In the field, you don't need to constantly use step up or step down rings. For this price, this lens packs a lot of bang for the buck, and it rivals the image quality of lenses that are almost 3 times the price. So what are your thoughts about this lens? Have you used this lens personally? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you found this review helpful. For more updates, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.